This one was it, wasn't it? This was the one you look back on at the end of the season and say, if the Saints were able to not try to field a punt inside their own 3, avoid a pick 6, and kick a damn field goal instead of reading an analytics chart, they'd have made the playoffs. Doesn't it feel like that? Whether it is or it isn't, today is the day you, the members of the Dattitude family, are my guest. And we know that we always tell it the way that it is. So let's see if we can find anything positive as we did when it was 2-0, now that it's 2-2, with the 2-time defending champions next on the docket. You got it. It's Mano E Monday. It's the Dattitude podcast, and it's all coming up next.
If you're looking for the latest scoop and in-depth interviews on the Saints, the NFL, the Pelicans, LSU, along with the best bets of the week, then lucky you. Along with high-powered, in-the-know guests who cover our teams, Jim Derry brings plenty of Dattitude. And he'll always tell you the way it is, or at least the way he thinks it is.
Where you at, New Orleans? And hello to my friends elsewhere, everywhere, out there, who are still screaming at Shaheed, let the damn ball go, you moron! Jesus Christ, what the hell was he thinking? Maybe he was thinking ahead to Dattitude, episode number 287, presented by Evangeline Securities for a Monday, September the 30th, 2024. Hard to believe it's the final day of September. Can't wait to get into it with all of you. I am your host, Jim Derry. And whether you are watching on our NOLA.com social media channels, crying in your beds, kicking the dog, still eating your breakfast, pouring the coffee out, that's enough of this crap. Whatever you're doing, I thank you for being a part of the Dattitude family. If you don't know how to, if you just stumbled across, who is this idiot? Why is he yelling at the screen? You know why I'm yelling. You can be a part of the show. Type in your comment on YouTube or Facebook. If you haven't already done so, I mean, how many out there of you have not done so already? But if you haven't done so already, please, by all means, the ever-growing YouTube page so you can hear me yell at the camera every Monday morning. I mean, it's what we all live for. I know. My wife, she just don't even listen anymore. You have access to all the short takes. TikTok is blowing up. You know what to do. You can get in touch with me on X at Jim Derry Jr. or via email at jderrytheadvocate.com. What we got on Mano E Monday? John Pace. Who dat? Jim Diggity. I don't know. Dylan Smith. Good morning, my who dats. PBM. They will still win at least 5 games. Well, come on, man. At least 5 games. Well, duh. Dylan says it was an ugly loss. That one hurt. That's going to leave a mark. That is going to leave a mark. Uncle Big Nick, why did he take the Atlanta minus 2.5, not the money line? I took the money line. Not that I'm bragging, because I'm definitely not proud of my picks this week. But I took the money line. I told Zach at the end of last week, if Eric McCoy, before we found out that he was out for 6 to 8 weeks, if he was going to miss this week, I was going to put a mortgage payment on the money line. I didn't quite put a mortgage payment on it. Maybe that's the only reason why I'm not completely pissed. Sav says, no comment. That one hurt. All right, look. I'm going to say this before we get to Mano E Monday. Okay, wait, hold on. You mean at least 13 games? Okay, 12-5. Okay, they're not going 5-12, and they're not going 12-5 either. I know it. I'm going to break it to you. They're not winning 12, and they're not going to only win 5. They're somewhere in between there. Still. I'm going to lead off with this after all that. Okay. I got it out of my system. I feel better about it. I would like your opinions on this, and I know some of you won't believe this after that open, as I said. But I'm sort of encouraged by what I saw yesterday. It hurts because the way they gave the game away. And pardon me, I'm still getting over the sickness. It's much better today, but still getting over it. So if you hear me sniffle or whatever, you'll know what's going on. But we're going to get into it. But you go through the list of the injured the injured list, be either before the game or during the game. Put them all together. I don't care how you do it. Eric McCoy, Demario Davis, Chris Olave played hurt. Taysom Hill went out after he scored 2 touchdowns. Willie Gay went out. Tyrann Mathieu went out. Cesar Ruiz didn't play. And on and on and on. I'm not making excuses for him. It's not an excuse. You don't make excuses in the NFL. You just don't. This show doesn't make it. We're not the fanboy podcast, okay? We don't make excuses on this podcast. But I'm going to say, and we're going to spend just like a couple minutes talking about something else other than the Saints in just a minute. And Mondays with Gabe is back, and he's going to come on in a minute as well. But I'm going to say this. You don't make excuses, but the fact that you didn't have all that, and the only reason why you lost is because you shot yourself in the foot. 3 giant, huge mistakes, and some of you won't consider the last one I consider a huge mistake a mistake. What were they? Well, obviously, Olave is number 1. That's the dumbest mistake. That's the dumbest mistake I've seen in a long time. I'm going to get to that in a minute. Dennis Allen actually talked about it in the press conference. In fact, the entire Dennis Allen clip is going to be him talking about what I think are the 3 giant mistakes that may lead to. I texted Zach at some point and said, and I think I tweeted this out as well. The Shaheed mistake is a potential season-changing mistake. Now, it's not season-changing if you don't lose the game. It doesn't matter. Well, they lost the game. And it's not season-changing if you lose the game by more than a touchdown. Well, they lost the game by less than a touchdown. So I stand by the fact that mistake could eventually be, because it's the number 1 boneheaded play of the day yesterday. It just happened to be the first time the Saints touched the ball. Fielding, what was he thinking fielding the punt inside of his own 5? Fielded it at the 3. He wasn't thinking. I'm not going to get on him too much because, honestly, that's the first real mistake I think I've ever seen him make. So it's just one of these things where brain farts, they happen. They happen all the time. It happened to me. When I'm calling a game or I'm sitting here with you and I'm trying to think of something and I pretend my way out of it. Happens all the time. You might not notice it. You might notice it. But it's a lot different when you talk about a punt returner standing at his own 5-yard line and giving the ball away. The Saints don't allow an offensive touchdown all day long. How do you lose? How do you lose that game? Because there's a big difference between what we saw against Philadelphia and what we saw on Monday. I know there's a lot of comments in the queue, Gabe. You can take them over if you want as we go along. There's a big difference between what we saw last week against Philly, and Big Sean says 7-10 tops. I'm going to tell you what I think in a minute. Nelly, 8 wins max. See, I knew that the fans are going to be like super down. It's like the end of the world. It's completely the opposite of what it was 2 weeks ago, right? Tracy, there you go, 11-6. Who dat? We have too many injured. Not making excuses. No excuses. Good morning, David. Good teams find a way to win close games. I agree. Unfortunately, we find a way to lose close games. Denver, Chargers, Washington, no longer locks. They were never locks. They were never locks. No, there isn't a game on the Saints schedule that's a lock. At least not right now. Not a single one. But there's also not a single game. I'm going to tell you this. There's not a single game on this schedule where it's a lock that they lose. And I'm including the one that's coming up. The one that you see on this screen. Brian's laughing at the Hoodats crying in their beer glass. Who's more important to the team, Taysom or one of the other 52? Taysom is 7-10, still and was and still is his pick. Okay. No excuses. We don't make excuses on Mano E Monday. Dylan, they couldn't stop Taysom. You're right, they couldn't. Would that have changed the outcome of the game? Maybe. But there were other major mistakes in this game. Again, mistakes that we're going to talk about. There was the pick 6. Not Carr's fault. I'm glad so far, at least no one is blaming Carr. Taylor DeMarco says losing 2 games by a combined 5 points while 9 starters are hurt or playing through injury. The sky isn't falling. Clint Kubiak does seem to have a difficult time making in-game adjustments when the original game plan goes to shit. I don't know if I agree with that last part or not, because I'm not sure. I'm not saying I disagree with it, but I don't know. The jury's still out on that. I think they actually did make adjustments. I thought the offensive game plan was way better this week. Way better than it was against Philadelphia. He was not quite back to having me guessing on every play like he did the first 2 weeks. But I'll tell you this, he was ready for Derek Carr to be bum rushed because he was on almost every play. It wasn't even, you know how I usually say 1-2 boom? It wasn't even 1-2 boom. It was like 1 boom. And I know Zach was talking, we were texting back and forth. He said the O-line played well. They didn't play well. They didn't play well in the beginning. The O-line was awful the entire game. John says they played well shorthanded. Minus some ridiculous mistakes, they dominated, and I'm encouraged. And I am encouraged this morning. I'm encouraged because I consider Atlanta, and I know we can joke and this and that and that and this all day long about they're the Falcons, they are Atlanta, they do what Atlanta does, blah, 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 blah. I thought Bijan Robinson was going to run all over this team, and he didn't. All right, we're going to come back to Mr. Universe says Saints D was good without Davis. The TOs were tough. The turnovers were tough, sorry. But the Saints can have a good reason. Just don't put the Saints D on the field at the end. Man, that's another time of bend but don't break. They definitely broke. All right, look, give me like 5 minutes, okay? Because I do want to. We're going to bring in Gabe in just a minute, and I do want to touch on the LSU and Tulane just for a minute. I think it's important. LSU, real quickly, and I'm sure I'll talk more about this on Monday afternoons. I go on Inside New Orleans on the Ticket 106.1 at 4:30, I believe, with Eric Asher. You can catch me on there. I'll probably talk more about LSU then if he asks me about it. But there's just not a whole lot of reason to spend time talking about LSU and Tulane today, in my opinion. It's the Saints, 90%. LSU looked like them. That was the best game they played by far. I don't think there's zero question. That was the best game that LSU played by far, both offensively and defensively. The offense is looking like it's starting to figure things out. The defense I'm telling you, that team has a really good offense. And LSU finally covered a spread. They kept the total under the 60.5. I thought LSU was outstanding this week. Can they carry that into Ole Miss? Ole Miss, they get a bye week now before Ole Miss. And the Rebels are reeling. I keep telling you people over and over and over again. Don't put too much stock in how good Ole Miss is because they'll screw it up. Their coach is an offensive genius, but in the grand scheme of things, he ain't never going to win nothing. That's my opinion on that. And Tulane, real quick, they were dominating. 45-10 win over USF. I did not see that coming. Great comeback game for the Wave. And when I say comeback, they won last week against Ooh La La, but they didn't play well at all. So coming into their American Conference opener, I thought they were fantastic. That was the best game they played all year. So if LSU and Tulane can both continue to ride the momentum that they played with last week, they're going to be fine. We'll see how that goes. Again, still early in the season. I know we're going in October. This is when things get real, folks. All right, we're about to bring in Gabe Henderson and get back to the NFL and the Saints. He's because got some interesting nuggets that he told me before, so he'll be bringing that up in just a minute. In fact, you know what? Let me change my slide here because we are moving on from this. As you see the numbers, we've got Saints numbers and Falcons numbers. Going to talk about them in a minute. Before we get to Gabe, let me continue the story about our friends at Evangeline Securities. Now, look, Nick Brayton texted me yesterday. He asked me not to talk about the Saints. He said, I don't care what you talk about. Let's have a show. Let's talk about, I don't know if he wanted me to be the Seinfeld of Saints shows, a show about nothing. So the fact that we are talking about the Saints, I hope he still loves me and he's still around later in the week. I had an entire show planned on cricket and the possible expansion of Zephyr Field planned. That's how we were going to spend this Monday, but I lost all my notes. So, Nick, I tell you what, I'm going to stick to what I know best, and I know Nick and Ron Hemelt will do the same, and that's helping you decide if it's the right time to sell your family-run or privately held business. To do that, you need to first find out what it's worth. That's where Evangeline comes in. Managing partners Nick Braden and Ron Hemelt, as I told you, they will maximize the value for your business by scheduling a complimentary valuation, and then they can help you decide if it's the right time to proceed. More on this later in the show. You will want to hear it. In the meantime, you can check them out at www.evangelinesecurities.com. Okay, let's get to Gabe here. There's a couple more comments for PBM says they're going to blow out Atlanta in the next game. We'll see. That's why the reason why I thought this one was the most important of the two, at least for winning sake, if this makes any sense. I mean, think about the missed opportunity here. First of all, the next time you play Atlanta, they will have plenty more games together. This is a whole new team. It's a new coaching staff. It's a new quarterback. It's a new offensive scheme. You want to play them early. They're not going to be as bad as they were next time. I'm not saying you can't win, but the golden opportunity of being 3-1, Tampa Bay wins over Philly in impressive fashion to stay ahead in the division. So you basically go from first place to third, as these standings are including tiebreakers. Brian, they had a hard time tackling Algier. You know, I think it's interesting because you look at Algier's numbers. I don't even have Bijan Robinson on the cover here. And Friday, all we were talking about, or all I was talking about was, is this a Kamara versus Robinson game, and whoever does the best is going to win? That's what I thought. I was wrong. Nate, you got to be joking. You still think Penning will be an all-pro player? Are you kidding me? Did you watch what he did? He got destroyed. He was absolutely, I thought yesterday was the worst game he had. He was destroyed. All right, what's this say, Big Sean? I didn't read this up. I'm putting this up without reading it because I trust you. I guess you're talking about Carr. Either throwing it to the turf, taking the sack, try to do something he knows he couldn't. No fluke. That's just Carr being Carr. Come on, man. Really? Did you see how much time he had on that throw? Yeah, he made a mistake. It is what it is. Did you see his numbers? 28 of 36. Dude, it's hard to be better than 28 of 36. I'm just telling you, the National Football League. I gave, just if you can, before you come on real quick, look and see where he is right now in the list of passer rating. I mean, you can't do better than 28. I was waiting for someone, and I really thought it was going to be you. And Big Sean, you know I love you. You've become a regular, and you're one of my favorites now on the show. But I was waiting for you to say something crappy about Carr. It doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. Don't blame Carr. I mean, we're going to get to that play. I don't think that's Carr's fault. I don't even think the play's Carr's fault. It was like 1-2, boom. David Jones wonders how many times Penning is going to get burned by Frank Clark next week. Yeah. Brian, one swing pass for 30 from Bijan. Besides that, they got a field goal out of it. That was it. Nelly says, never thought we'd win by double digits. Had double-digit wins due to Derek not being able to carry the team. I mean, Derek Carr has done way better than any of you think. And here it goes. I was waiting. I want it on the record. It took 20 minutes. It took 20 minutes for this one to come out. Michael Northwick, DA is the worst coach in the league. If you think Dennis Allen's the worst coach in the league, you need to go feed pigeons in the park on Sunday. Okay? If you truly believe Dennis Allen is the worst coach in the NFL, go feed pigeons because you don't know jack squat about football. Period. Period. You don't. It's not even close. I knew somebody was going to piss me off this morning with something stupid. I mean, this team is playing with half a team, and they almost beat a team that I consider to be in the top 10. And you're calling out the coach because they lost. Where were you 2 weeks ago, jackass? Where were you? I didn't say he was top 5. Don't twist words. Don't try to get in some stupid little argument like, I got you. You ain't got crap. That's the most moronic comment we've had all year long. Moronic. To blame anything 2-2. First of all, before I go any further, and I'm about to bring Gabe on, and he's like adjusting his headset. It's probably blowing out his ears. Sorry. Before we go any further, and be realistic. I don't want some numbnuts saying, I said they would be 4-0. Piss off. How many out there thought the Saints would be 2-2 right now? Because I ain't one of them. Okay? I'm going to admit it. I thought they'd be 1-3. I know, Big Sean, you said they'd be 2-2. They'd win the first 2 games. How many people thought the Saints would be 2-2 or better? Not a lot of you. So there is zero question this team has done better than anyone's thought, any realistic, sane, not who that's living on magic carpets or anybody else thinking that this team is whatever. You thought whatever. There's no question that a realist, sane person that they've done better than those expectations so far. Coaching, I think, honestly, except for last week, because I thought the coaching against Philadelphia was not good. Is that the reason why they lost? No, because they gave up 450 yards. They should have got beat worse than they got beat. Did the coaching make a mistake yesterday? They made one huge mistake yesterday that I'm going to get to in a minute, in my opinion. But to blame coaching, the coaching has been, in my opinion, I know people will probably disagree with this. I think it's been outstanding so far. David says he thought the team would be 1-3. I probably lost a viewer. I don't care. I'm going to tell you the way that I think it is. Big Sean said I know. You said it would be 2-2. Coaches called the winning game. Absolutely, they did. And it's going to be, here we go. I'm waiting for the first numbnuts to say, oh, it's because of Clint Kubiak. It has nothing to do with Dennis Allen. Piss off. You can't give credit to one person and not give credit to someone else. It's the same as when we were all bashing Pete Carmichael and in the little clipboard holder. And Dennis Allen was a part of that, right? Absolutely he was. You can't give one coach credit and not give another coach credit now. Defense is still playing on a high level, Dennis says. Mano E Monday. I want you all here. Dennis says he thinks DA is doing a good job so far. He is. Better than he thought. Look, you can admit it. You can hate him all you want. Hate DA. I don't care if you hate DA or not. I'm not a DA fan. I'm not a fan of what he's done here so far. But to not give him credit for where this team is right now is silly and asinine. And it's not realistic. It's not realistic. All right, let's move on. We're going to come back to the comments, I swear. We got a lot of them in the queue. They're rolling right now. Say whatever you want. You could say something asinine if you want. But I'm not going to let it slide if you say something really stupid. I'm not going to let it slide. I'm just not. And to say that DA is the worst coach in the league is stupid. That's something stupid, in my opinion. And it's my show, so I get to decide what's stupid and what's not. You know who's not stupid? Been gone. Been gone for a week. We missed him. Gabe Henderson. Sorry I got on my soapbox, pal. I didn't mean to bring you in at 25 minutes into the show, but sometimes I just don't get it, man. I don't get what these people are watching or listening to.
Well, I can tell you what they weren't watching. They weren't watching the real coach, the real worst coach in the league. And I'm glad UBN said something because it's got to do with one of the coaches in this team.
Kevin Stefanski?
No, not Kevin Stefanski.
I was going to say, because he didn't do anything wrong.
Old Dougie Peterson.
Oh, Doug Peterson's pretty bad.
He's awful.
Doug Peterson could be. I could definitely consider him the worst coach in the league.
The Jacksonville
he's in
Jaguars yesterday, because similar with the Saints, the Texans muffed the opening punt, and the Jaguars got the ball like the 4 to start after that and scored a touchdown. The Jaguars actually had the Texans on the ropes. They were up 3, had a chance to win. You know what old Dougie Peterson comes out and does? With 3:09 to go.
I missed it because that was about the same time the Saints were falling.
3:09 to go with a 3-point lead. He's got a second down. He throws the ball twice.
Yeah, that's
how do you think that worked out?
Worked, and UBN says Lawrence is god awful. To be fair,
we're still tracking Trevor Lawrence here. He has still not won a game since Thanksgiving.
Still hasn't won since Thanksgiving. Hey, and I said I gotta look. I made some look. My picks were bad this week, but I said in the beginning of the season when we were talking about Jacksonville, I said there's a path to them starting like 0-6. Their schedule is brutal and having like a 2-8, 2-10 start.
You know what my dream scenario
might be worse than that.
You know, my dream scenario in this, obviously, I don't wish on anybody. I don't wish them losing their job. I want Doug Peterson to get fired after the first London game.
And they're in London.
They're in London for 2 weeks.
Oh, that would be brutal.
I want to see him get fired after the first one, just to what happened.
I'm not heartless like that. It's like David Jones said when we're talking about the Saints, because let's transfer, because I know you got some good Saints information. The late, great Buddy D said, the squirrels are out. I don't know. I think that squirrel's probably gone now, David. He's probably, I'm not listening to this guy anymore. He's mean.
To answer your question from earlier, Derek Carr's 8th in the league in passer rating.
There you go. Derek Carr's 8th in the league in passer rating.
9th in QBR.
9th in QBR. And we are 1/4 of the way, or just shy, because there's 17 games now, but we are the first quarter of the season is basically over.
Randall, come on.
They said they can barely hear you, Gabe. That's probably because I'm so loud.
Yeah, no, I've got my
yeah, I can hear you fine.
Should be.
I can hear you fine. Okay, let's go.
Let me just call out this comment real quick. Come on, Randall.
Trevor Lawrence is awful.
He's
Randall.
Awful.
That's not one. That's UBN, not like the squirrel comment from before.
UBN hit the nail on the head here. Trevor Lawrence missed at least 3 or 4 touchdowns yesterday. Easy throws, wide open receivers.
Remember when all the grief about Derek Carr getting $40 million, and now the Jags are stuck with Trevor Lawrence? What's he getting? $55 million.
$55 million.
Randall, if you think Trevor Lawrence is better than Derek Carr, I don't know what planet you're living on, my friend.
Randall, I'm not a Saints fan, and I'll tell you, I'm as a neutral in this. Trevor Lawrence is horrible. He's the only thing preventing him from being the worst quarterback in his division is Will Levis. I would go as far as to say Anthony Richardson might be better at this point.
No,
he's bad too.
No, he's not.
But he might be.
No. Anthony Richardson's not good. All right,
neither is Trevor Lawrence.
All right, that's a fair point. All right, let's talk Saints, because you told me some stuff before. Is the Saints move ahead? By the way, this line that's on the screen has changed. I didn't have time to change the graphic this morning. The Saints odds, believe it, I know a lot of you are not going to believe this, but the Saints numbers, the bettors are betting on the Saints right now. It's dropped from 5.5 when I did this graphic last night. The Saints are now 5-point underdogs at Kansas City. The total is going down to 42.5. Now, a lot of that's probably because the Chiefs' poor performance yesterday and squeaking one out against the Chargers. But I will say this. These sharps are probably a lot higher on the Saints than you, the fan, are right now. So just keep that in mind. They're saying that on a neutral field, the Saints would basically be a 2.5 to 3-point underdog on a neutral field. And in the Superdome, if the Saints play the Chiefs in the Superdome, this is basically telling you that it would be pick'em or maybe slightly tilted towards Kansas City in the Superdome. So that says a whole lot about where the sharps and the people in Vegas think about these New Orleans Saints.
Well, I don't know if it – I think it's a whole mix. I think, yes, it says a lot about the Saints and where they've come, because this look-ahead line at when these odds were released at DraftKings, the Chiefs were 8-point favorites.
Yep.
And we've now dropped 3 whole points. I do think that's part due to the fact that the Saints have played well. Even in their losses, they played quite well, a lot better than I expected. And not only that, the Chiefs are banged up. I mean,
They are
have
very
no running
banged
game.
up.
No running game whatsoever. Their top receiver is now out. Travis Kelce is not
Rashid Rice out for the season.
Likely out for the season with a torn ACL. I mean, it's rough. Patrick Mahomes has said himself he's not playing quite well. Their defense is really keeping them in these games, and it's hard to see them winning a third Super Bowl right now. It's going to be really interesting at the trade deadline. But yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. Sharps are all over the Saints. I do wonder if this keeps creeping down, though, because, I mean, it's moved half a point.
I think it will.
Since I researched
a little bit.
If it keeps creeping down, I think you'll see Sharps turn the other way, and I think they'll start betting on Kansas City.
I think this is going to go down to 4.5 by the time we do our next show on Wednesday.
I think if so, you'll see it go back up to 5.
Yeah, really look, Big Sean, I'm not saying that. What do you think, that I'm making this a gimme that the Saints are going to win? Are you crazy? I think that's the way I'm interpreting. The Falcons can struggle and still beat us. Do I think the Chiefs can? Of course not. I think the Chiefs don't have to play their best game to beat the Saints. But I'll be honest, I'm not sure the Saints have to play their best game to beat the Chiefs either. We're gonna come down. We're gonna have a lot more analysis on Wednesday. By the way, we're gonna have a weird week this week. I never told you about this, Gabe, but since the game is on Monday, there's gonna be no Friday show. I'm gonna when I get a chance to take an extended weekend, I'm gonna do it this week. So the show that we normally would have on Friday, a preview, it's gonna be next Monday, and it won't be with Larry Holder. We'll see. It'll probably either be, I'll see if Doug Mouton's available, or Garland Gillen maybe, or maybe even Mike Detillier. We'll see. But we'll do our regular Friday show. We'll do that on Monday. So, but we will have Wednesday and Thursday show. And Thursday, I'll probably expand it a little bit. Maybe we'll have a Saints, an NFL look ahead on Thursday. We'll see. This is a great question and a lead into something you told me. Randall wants to know, did Derek Carr beat the Chiefs while he was with the Raiders? Go ahead. You got the numbers.
Derek Carr is 3-14. 3-14 or 4-13. I don't remember. It's in my column, my latest odds column at bet.nola.com. He's really struggled against the Chiefs in his career. Yeah, he's got 24 touchdowns, 17 picks, and a little over 100 yards, I believe, in those 17 games. So he's not fared well, but not all of those losses were on him. He's actually played quite well in the last 4, and they've lost all 4. So he's on a 4-game losing streak against the Chiefs. And more importantly, we talked about this earlier, Patrick Mahomes 6-0 against the NFC South in his career, including 1-0 this year against Atlanta.
It's an interesting matchup. And if anyone knows the Chiefs defense and their defensive tendencies, it's not only Derek Carr, but remember, and I'm sure a lot of you do, remember that god-awful year that Steve Spagnuolo was the defensive coordinator in New Orleans? That didn't go so well. I guarantee you Dennis Allen knows Steve Spagnuolo's tendencies as well. I promise you that he does. So let's see. What else you got for me this morning before we get back to the Mano E Monday train here?
I'll leave you with a positive stat. The Saints and the Chiefs have met 12 times, with the Chiefs holding the 7-5 all-time advantage. However, the Saints are 3-2 at Arrowhead.
There you go. It's been a while since Saints played at Arrowhead.
It has, yeah.
And I will say this: the last time that the Saints played the Chiefs, I believe it was Drew Brees' final season, 2020. And remember, that was kind of a back and forth game. The Chiefs found a way to win. It was a high scoring game. I want to say the Chiefs were like a 3.5-point favorite. And I think they won by 3. Was it like 32-29 or something like that?
32-29, I believe. Yeah, so 32 or 33-29. Yeah. Really, really weird. I was researching that game earlier and just looking how different those two teams are.
Yeah.
And it's night and day.
Yeah.
Other than Patrick Mahomes. I mean, Le'Veon Bell was still playing for the Chiefs. Clyde Edwards-Helaire was their leading rusher. Sammy Watkins was one of their top receivers.
Tyrann Mathieu was playing defense, wasn't he?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. Again, and we're going to get to him in just a minute. All right, Gabe, we are going to talk to you Wednesdays with Gabe coming up. Looking forward to it. We'll see you then. All right, Gabe Henderson, everybody. He's always got some good stuff for us. But I want to get back on my take. Gabe, you can just go ahead, take over taking the show in the comments from here on out. We've got 3 clips for you this morning. One is from Dennis Allen, and again, it's on all the mistakes that the Saints made. There were 3 big ones. Other than the 3 big mistakes, Uncle Big Nick says, scary part is Chiefs haven't even played their best game yet. I don't know. I don't think they're as good as some people thought they were. Now, will they be in December the Chiefs team that we expected to see? I don't know, to be honest. We'll see. I mean, I never thought they were going to be back to that level this year. It's hard to look. Gabe and I always joke. We ain't betting against God in January, right? But let's get to January first. Not that I necessarily will feel differently, but I'm more of a guy that would say, even though I'm not going to bet against him, but that doesn't necessarily mean to be bet on him. If that makes any sense. We got a long way to go before we get to there. But we're going to hear from Dennis Allen. 2-minute clip from Dennis Allen. What else do we have? We have a 1-minute and 5-second clip from Tyrann Mathieu. Him talking about not only the chance that they let slip away, but how he's feeling. And again, he came out of the game. Is he going to play next week? Taylor DeMarco says every stat and betting line will say Chiefs over the Saints. Carr is 1-8 versus Mahomes. Chiefs haven't played well all year. Luck versus Falcons and Bengals. Saints will be locked in. You making prediction already? Okay, 20-17 Saints, he says. I can't wait for the predictions next week. It's going to be interesting. Big Sean says he thinks it will be competitive. It will come down to quarterbacks. Well, no, that's no contest. Jeez. Valerie Lynn says, actually, to me, it looks like the Chiefs' defense is better than their offense this season. I don't know about that. David Jones says, my big worry is that Spagnuolo's having a field day with the banged-up Saints offensive line. It could be. I guarantee you the pressure he's going to show. He's not a huge blitzer, but I think he's going to change up the way that he puts. There's going to be a lot of people up front. Let's just put it that way. Bird Sanford says, we have to get our tight ends more involved. No doubt. The injury bug is crazy this season, Valerie said. No doubt. Any update on Taysom? Not as of yet, but I'll tell you this, Randall. For him to come out of a game, it had to be bad, right? He's still dealing with the same injuries that he had before, and now this combined. Look, they're going to need him to win this game. So I like to hold off on injury reports until, unless they're bad, because you really only get the super bad ones before Wednesday. Before tomorrow. So tomorrow, I think we might get initial reports. Wednesday, we'll get the first practice injury report. And so when we come on the air Thursday live, we'll have a better feel about it. And I know people don't want to wait that long, but it is what it is. Again, we're also going to hear from Derek Carr and keeping it positive, brother. But I am kind of keeping it positive. I mean, it's like I said, there are things to be encouraged about in this football game. The fact that you lose that list of players that I went through earlier, let me go through them again. This is the list. And I know I'm probably missing one or two. So go ahead and add them in when I read you this list. These players either were out before the game or they were out during the game and went out and never came back. Eric McCoy, Demario Davis, Taysom Hill, Willie Gay, Tyrann Mathieu, Cesar Ruiz. Chris Olave got hurt, but came back. Was injured in going into the game, got hurt again during the game, came back. Any of those players important? Of course they are. If you would have told me that this team would play this way without injuries and play this way, I'd be encouraged. But they did have all those. And again, we're not making any mistakes. Well, I'm not going to sit there and make excuses because there are no excuses. You can't make excuses. But here, I want to get to the mistakes part of this show. Michelle Castro Arreglado Neesmith. I know you've become a regular. I know I'm probably not pronouncing part of your name right. Tell me what I'm messing up. It's so hard to stay positive when all the good players are injured. Need strong backups. Look, I think the backups are playing as well as they can. The thing that is distressing is not so much the offensive line because we knew they would play not well. They didn't play well. The fact that Kamara had 77 rushing yards, 42 receiving yards, and a touchdown is all Kamara. Okay. How he found holes with that offensive line, they did not play well. They had maybe their worst game of the year yesterday, I thought. Now, granted, again, they did it without two key starters. So you can understand that. I can't wait to see what these grades are going to be from PFF because they're not going to be good. But what's distressing is the way the defensive front played. I mean, Chase Young was probably played better than any of the other ones, but he wasn't in there nearly enough. They didn't put nearly enough pressure on Cousins, in my opinion. And they couldn't stop Tyler Algier. I mean, when Tyler Algier has 80 yards of total offense, that's not good. They must have known, though, that the game plan of what I thought it was going to be, they probably thought it was going to be too, because they were out to shut down Bijan Robinson and Kyle Pitts, because neither one of those guys were. Bijan had one decent play out of a screen pass. Other than that, he didn't do jack. They had a little trouble out of Drake London, but really, I mean, overall, you can't be that upset about the defense. They didn't allow a touchdown. But I wish the defensive front would have got a little bit more pressure, would have helped in turn give the Saints better field position on the opposite end. But here's the mistakes, okay? Because I want to get to the mistakes part of this. And I'm going to go back to what I said in the very beginning of the show. Is this the game that you end up going look back on and saying it was a missed opportunity? It was a chance for the Saints to go 3-1 and basically say, oh, you know what? I know it's only September, but this is a two-team race, and it ain't the Saints and Falcons. It's the Saints and Bucks. Because to drop the Falcons to 1-3 with you owning the tiebreaker over them at this point in time, I can't even tell you how big that would be. I can't even explain, and I know most of you know this already, but I want you to really think about it. The missed opportunity and how big of an opportunity this really was. Musette said there's no doubt the Saints beat themselves. There's not. And I'm going to give you the three, and I want to see if anyone agrees with me on the last one, because I haven't brought it up yet, and I haven't brought it up on purpose. Okay, obviously, the Shaheed decision was the most boneheaded decision, not only so far of this season, but maybe the last couple seasons. He knows that. Okay, I'm not going to sit here and rail on Shaheed. He knows it was a boneheaded decision. Dennis Allen talks about it. We're going to get to that clip in a minute. The second mistake, and I don't even know if it was a mistake or just a miscue is a better word. Derek Carr in the pick six had no time to throw the ball. It just went in the wrong spot at the wrong time. It is what it is. You can't go back on it. It's a mistake. Should he have tried to throw it away? I mean, yes, in the grand scheme of things, but when you're talking about dropping back to pass and you got a second and they're in your face, what you going to do? But here's the one that really gets my goat. And this, to me, and Zach Huey and I went back and forth on this, and he basically called me an idiot. Not basically, he called me an idiot for saying this. I'll defend this over and over and over again. But when you're driving down the field and you got 4 minutes to go and your defense is played the way that it's played, and on third down you run the ball, because you know, as they said on the air, John Vilma, you know you're going for it on fourth down. Well, the Falcons probably know you're going for it on fourth. They're ready for it. Brian, not going for three near the end. Exactly. You throw the ball on third down, and if you get it to a 4th and 1 or 4th and 2, then maybe you go for it. Okay? But I don't have the play-by-play in front of me. I believe it's 4th and 7. It doesn't matter what it was. I don't care what it was. You kicked the field goal there. UBN, I knew I liked Zach. You're the one that Uncle Big Nick, he's the one that's been screaming field goal about the LSU's first drive since he still talks about it. That was a month ago. Uncle Big Nick's still talking about kicking a field goal on the LSU's first drive. Shut up. Show that again, that last one again, and get to read it. Brian says instead went forth and let them run the clock. I'm not as worried about running the clock. And Musette, I don't always say take the points, but here's the thing. Here's what I have a problem with. Can we just get rid of the analytics out of football? Michelle says, saluting me for saying his or her name right. I think it's a her, but I know the reason why I say this, Michelle, is because I know a lot of times there are two people that have one account. So tell me, is it just Michelle or are there two of you on the account? Tell me that one. Okay. But real quick. Yes. Remove the analytics out of football. Here's my thing with, and Zach and I have this argument all the time. I'm going to get back to the play because I got to play the Dennis Allen clip. But we can talk about whether something 70% of the time you're going to win the football game if you go for it. 30% of the time you're going to lose it. But it doesn't, it is Michelle. Okay, thank you, Michelle. Now I know. And I know you become a regular, and thank you. I don't care what these percentages are. It means nothing for right now. You have to use your gut. What happened to coaches going with gut and winning football games? How many times do we think Bill Belichick has used an analytics card and trying to figure out, should I let Tom Brady go for it? Or should I kick a field goal here and trust my defense? And as crazy as it sounds, way more times than not, he would kick the field goal and trust his defense. And then Tom Brady could go win the game afterward, right? UBN says bring common sense not only to football, but the world. No, we're going to start with football. If we win with this, then maybe we'll move on to bigger and better things. I doubt it. Because people still aren't going to understand what I'm talking about. Because Zach will come on and say, that's the whole point of this. 58% of the time or 70% of the time, you're going to win the game. The difference is, to me, in my opinion, those numbers don't mean squat when you're talking about an actual point in time. Because the other 30% of the time, you're definitely going to lose the goddamn game. Okay? 30% of the time you do. There are so many factors that go into different things, and use common sense, because in this, you can't factor in how a team's playing at a certain time against another team that's playing a certain way. And in this instance, I'm not saying, and Big Sean, all you saw was us still having enough to win. We lost. I'll look as W's and L's. Well, this is what goes into W's and L's. There are times when I would have said yesterday that you drive down the field and this might be your only shot, and you do go for the touchdown. If the Saints defense was playing lousy and you had no faith in them, then you say, maybe you do say, you know what, we got to go for the touchdown here because it might be our only chance, or at least if they're going to go down, maybe we'll have time to score or whatever. This wasn't the case. Falcons weren't doing jack. Randall agrees with Allen for going on fourth down. Okay. I'm not even chastising if you think that. But I'm telling you why I think it was a big mistake, and it was something that I was saying from the get-go. I'm not saying this now that they missed and lost. I'm saying it. I said it from the get-go. David Jones says the whole ending of that game would have been different if they took the 3 points in that time. You score a touchdown. After that, it would be up by 4. Falcons last drive instead of 1. Here's my thinking. Offense didn't score a touchdown all game. Exactly, David. Kick the field goal. Absolutely right, Jeff says. You kick the field goal, you're still down 3, right? But there's 4:08 left or whatever the hell time it was. You kick off. They go 3 and out. Just like they went 3 and out when you didn't get it. Your defense is going to get the 3 and out. You have confidence that your defense is going to get the 3 and out. And then you come down the field. You're down 3. And you have the decision. Everything is in your hands now. It's not in the other team's hands. You come down and you have the opportunity to score the touchdown and go up by 4 and win the game. To me, that's just as aggressive. In fact, in some ways, even more so aggressive. And if you can't get the touchdown, at least you're in a point to where if you kick a field goal, then it's tied and you go to overtime. And I think the Saints would have won in overtime. Randall says, but like Allen said after the game, defense was going to have to get another stop no matter what happened there. Well, of course. Michelle says, leave analytics, metrics, data to reporting. Human, intuitive action. It seems like common sense. You know, let me ask you this. If you go to the greatest restaurant on the planet and they put this beautiful steak in front of you and they issue you a warning and they tell you 70% of the time, this is going to be the greatest goddamn steak you've ever eaten in your entire life. You're never going to eat anything better than this. 30% of the time, you're going to spend a week in the bathroom hunched over in pain. Which one are you going to take? Oh, you can't compare. The hell you can. Because there's a lot of Saints fans hunched over in pain right now. Big Sean, if you didn't make one of the 3 fatal flaws, you would have won the game. Randall would eat it. And you know what? I don't even have a problem with that. I know you would. I believe you wholeheartedly. I believe that there's probably 70% of the people out there that would eat it. I wouldn't. I wouldn't eat it. I ain't taking that chance. I'll eat some cold pizza. I'm cool with it. If I eat cold pizza and I know I ain't getting sick and I can win tomorrow, maybe I can eat a steak. Because guess what? Just because you don't eat that one steak doesn't mean you can't eat steak later and have 100% that it's going to be the best steak you ever ate. Charles Broom's got a great comment there, Gabe. Making decisions based on individual game trends and circumstances is the right way. Going on 4th down and 7 was clearly wrong, whatever the stats say. What did they actually say? I'm fairly certain the analytics said to go for it. All right, let me play a clip here because Dennis Allen goes through all of these 3 things that we talked about. They're all important. Dennis Allen has never been an analytics kind of coach, so I'm not really sure. He obviously had made up his mind before that 3rd down play that they were going for it. And here's another problem. And look, I was giving Dennis Allen credit earlier. Eddie Bureau still have to go to the bathroom to dispose the 70%. Got a point. But I'm not saying Dennis Allen's a great coach. I'm not saying he's a terrible coach. I'm not saying anything right now because I don't even know what I think. But I will say this. When you go into a situation without any flexibility, and in my mind, he had gone into that situation with the field goal, made up his mind. We don't get it. We're going for it. Sometimes you got to say, we don't get it. We're going for it. And then you don't get it. And you say it's 4th down and 7. You say, you know what? I think I changed my mind. He'd already made up his mind. But he talks about all 3 mistakes. Again, is this the game that we come back to in December and say, that's the one that slipped away? Might be. 2-minute clip.
We got a good football team in that locker room. Now we have to play better. We can't spot a team 14 points, a good team, and expect to win those type of games. The fact that you come back and put yourself in a position to win that tells me that we got a good football team. But we have to be better. We got to play better. We got to coach them better. There's a lot of things we have to improve on.
That's the decision by Shaheed on that first punt.
Bad decision. It's a bad decision. We don't ever want to field that ball. And look, he's typically been a guy that's made a lot of really good decisions back there. So it was uncharacteristic for him, to make that decision to field the ball there. But we certainly don't want to do that. I think he was trying to dirt the ball, and they got a tip on it and tipped up in the air, and they got it and ran it back for a touchdown. But yeah, I mean, two touchdowns, whether it be special teams touchdowns allowed or, the pick 6, those are big plays.
On the next to last possession, did y'all think about just getting a 3 points?
We did. Yeah, we did. I think just being aggressive and look, we knew we were going to have to make a stop anyway. You know, we knew we were going to have to stop them anyway. So whether we kicked 3, they were going to get the ball, and we were going to be in a 4-minute mode there. So that was the decision, to be aggressive. Let's try to score the touchdown. They got the ball at, what was it, the 7 or 8 yard line, 7 yard line, I think it was. And so we knew we were going to have to make a stop anyway. We got good field position. We went down there and scored the touchdown. If we kick the field goal there, I think the game doesn't play out the same way. I think it plays out differently.
Completely disagree. It doesn't play out any differently. I mean, it plays out differently in the fact that you can kick a field goal and tie the game and change everything and change Atlanta's way of thinking. But it also puts the game, to me, the opposite of what the aggressive people think. It puts it in your hands if you're aggressive. Bullshit. I think it's the opposite. If you don't get it, you're screwed there. Now, the Saints eventually took the lead, but the reason why I'm saying that is Atlanta comes down and all they got to do is kick a field goal. I mean, hindsight's always 20/20. I'm not saying anything, and I'm sure Zach, as much as he tells me I'm an idiot, would at least come on the show and tell you that I was saying this ahead of time. I know, and look, Randall, you can't recall watching Koo ever miss a kick. You could say that all day long, but the fact is, did you expect him to make a 58-yarder? Yeah, you know why you expected it? Because you're a pessimist. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. There are lots of pessimists in this world that are successful and get by and whatever. His longest field goal in his career, he's been kicking in this league. Gabe can look it up if he wants. At least 7 years, maybe longer. The longest kick in his career was 54 yards. So why would you think he'd make a 58-yarder, which was the longest kick also in the career of the Mercedes-Benz, whatever they call Georgia Dome, whatever the hell they call that place. Big Sean says, wasn't trying to dirt the ball, stop covering for him. Dude, stop blaming Derek Carr, dude. What is wrong with you? Do you go to bed at night like punching your pillow and pretend and put a big number 4 on your pillow and dude, really? Stop blaming Derek Carr. Stop. Crazy. I don't know. I want to move on, and we got another clip, 2 clips to play actually. I could tell you what. And I'm gonna move on from these mistakes. Is it the one we're gonna look back on? It won't be the one you look back on if you make good on it and you come back and you go 10-7 and go to the playoffs. And this game had no effect. This is a really long one. Skandar Miles, you are new to the show, so I'm gonna try to read this. Thank you for being a part of the Dattitude family this morning. Man, the Saints back on a losing streak, just like they do every damn year. Start off winners and then find a way to become losers. It's not fair. Never seen a team where all the key players get injured from the same damn time. This is somebody that's just hurting because it is what it is. The organization is cursed. They're not cursed. Were they cursed in 2009 when they won a Super Bowl? No. They got something the Falcons don't have. A Lombardi trophy. Derek Carr's biggest flaw is that he isn't Drew Brees. Okay, I have to say it at least once every 2 weeks. Everybody say it with me. Everybody say it with me. Drew Brees is gone, and he's never coming back. John Pace, biggest flaw in all of us. You see it in every sport everywhere. Someday, somebody's going to replace Patrick Mahomes. And some Kansas City loudmouth with a podcast is going to say at least twice a month, Patrick Mahomes is gone and he ain't never coming back. Terrence, we were wrong, Jim. Falcons are not better than us. You're right. They're not. I'm encouraged. I think this team is way better than I gave them credit for at the beginning of the season. There is zero doubt in my mind that this team is, so that's what it comes down to. And we got to start getting geared towards wrapping it up. We got 2 more clips to play. They're short clips, but we're at an hour. Mano E Monday is fun and all, but we got to gear up. There is zero doubt. I would go back to what I said about the 10-minute mark. That this team, no one thought this, not no one, the hootattiest of hoodats and the optimist of optimists and the magic carpet riding people out there who thought the Saints were going 12-5, they thought the Saints were this good. Well, did they really? I don't know, probably. But I know rational, sane people like me and people who analyze football, I'm not talking about me, I'm just talking about the people who do analyze football, didn't think this team was this good. This team is definitely better than I thought they were. And I can say that as much yesterday. In fact, I say it more yesterday than I would have said after even the Dallas game. You saw me. I still had trouble believing. Joshua says, once you start winning the games like that, you become top tier. Yeah, you got to win them. Absolutely. You got to win them. PBM's an eternal optimist. And he knew that Koo would make the kick. Oh, man. All right, I want to hear from Tyrann Mathieu because not even as much as what they didn't do, I think they're not going to sit around feeling sorry for themselves. They're looking at this game. Look, all you can ask for as a team, remember, what did I say was the biggest problem for this team at the end of last year? Chemistry. Losing the locker room. I think he's got it back. At least for now, I think he's still got it. 1 minute clip from Tyrann Mathieu and whether he might play next week against his former team.
Yeah, it's tough, man. I think the last 2 weeks, really, man. It's tough ways to lose games. We felt like we had a chance, or at least we kind of, we climb out of certain holes and we give ourselves a chance. Just didn't make the plays when we could have made them. Felt like we played, okay. Obviously, felt like, those guys got about 6-7 yards of run. And it seemed like every time they threw the ball, for a completion, it was 11, 12 yards. So we definitely could, tighten up in that aspect. And obviously, too, man, it's always going to come down for us, taking the ball away. We just feel like we didn't do that enough today.
How's your left the game? Are you all right? Is there anything to worry about beyond this week?
I hope not. I don't usually, miss games. So, I'll do everything I have to do, this week. And, obviously it's a big game coming up, with the Chiefs. And, that's not one I would want to miss.
I don't know what I'm doing with my green screen back here, but I don't know. I shouldn't move it when it was fine. Anyway, I think what you hear, he ain't going to miss this game. I don't think you have anything to worry about. He's going to be there. But there's a comment in here from Big Sean. Where is it? I got it. Here it is. You did say we'd be 2-2. See, saying 2-2 is different than saying what you thought about. I am not among the Herm Edwards or Dennis. We are who that we thought they were. I'm having a brain fart again. Minnesota, Arizona. Tell me, Gabe, who am I thinking of? The late, great coach that said, you are who you want to hand it to him. Denny Green. There you go. I told you. See, I screw up on the air too. The point is, it's not just about your record. The Saints were 2-0 after their first 2 games last year, but this Saints 2-0 team was way better. So it's not just about record. I don't believe in that you are what your record says you are. At least not this early in the season. Now, maybe later, when you get like 10 games in or 12 games in, that is when I do think you are what your record says you are. But not right now. I don't know, man. They're trying to keep it as positive as they can. Derek Carr's doing his thing. He's got to have more than 1 second to throw, man. It's not Dennis Allen. I mean, it's not Derek Carr. Even, I don't care how crappy your offensive line or the issues that you have or whatever it is. You got to have more than 1 second to throw the football, no matter who you are. Even Patrick Mahomes, even Josh Allen, even Lamar Jackson. Go down the list. Jaden Daniels is winning because he's got time to throw the ball. Joe Burrow isn't winning because he doesn't have time to throw the ball. Don't count out Carr. Don't count Carr against Kansas City. He does good against them. Well, Gabe says he doesn't, and he gave proof. He gave receipts. 3-12. Chiefs is not an automatic L. It's not an automatic L. I'm not going to sit here and make a prediction on a Monday, and I'm not going to tell you they're going to win the game, at least not here on a Monday. But it's certainly not an automatic L. I mean, I'm not sure what to tell you about what the odds make. The odds makers know more than we know, okay? And again, if this game were being played in the Dome, what these numbers tell us, it'd basically be pick 'em in the Dome. And I know everybody and their grandma and Aunt Mabel would spend a Social Security check, and Drunk Joe would give up booze for a week so you could take all that money and go bet on the Chiefs. But Vegas would welcome the money in. There's a reason why it is what it is. Big Sean says a damn near automatic. You know what? I don't know. Look, I get grief for being too negative sometimes. But sometimes, man, and I know some of y'all are negative all the time, even after the 2-0 and whatever, and you had trouble. This team is way better than the negative Nellies think they are. And they're probably not as good as the magic carpet people think they are. Anyway, want to hear from Derek Carr before we say goodbye for the day because, again, if you give him time to throw, he's going to be okay. If not, he's going to have to find another way to keep it positive, brother.
Oh, that one hurts. You try your best not to be so angry, about it, but you hate losing. You hate losing, especially close ones. They sting. So, I thought positively. I thought we, ran the ball. I thought we threw it effectively. Compared to last week, I thought we got better. But just like Debo said, good's not good enough. We got to be better. And, obviously it wasn't enough to get a win today.
Almost had a major catastrophe. Gabe, can you still hear me? Yes. Okay. I try to fix my green screen. Don't try to fix stuff in the middle of the show. You're just asking for trouble. That's why stick to the script. Offense, stick to the script. We almost had a major catastrophe here on Dattitude because I'm doing whatever. All right, look. More coming up later this week. I knew this was going to be a show where we didn't all agree on everything, but I was really super interested on y'all's takes. Alfredo, it's players that make big stakes. You talking about the steaks that we 70% chance you want to eat it and the 30% chance you don't want to eat it? Or are we just talking about different kinds of steaks? Skandar says we lost to the Eagles in the Dome. That dome doesn't matter, dude. They're not playing in the Dome. So it's a good thing it doesn't matter. They're playing at Arrowhead. I mean, I can't wait to win. We may do when, you know what? Maybe we'll have, I'm going to announce it now. We're going to have Mano E Wednesday this week. Y'all come on back. It's just going to be us on Wednesday. I'm not going to look for a guest. Just going to be us on Wednesday. UBN says LSU will miss, just announced 6:30 ABC game. Not a surprise. Be interesting. Saints made mistakes, not Dennis Allen. Absolutely. All right. Before we go off, I never even talked about the numbers that I showed on the screen. Whoops. I didn't mean to do that. There we go. Hold on. Let me get a drink of water here. I am losing my voice. It's been, again, I'm much better than I was Friday. I could barely talk. You heard me. But it's not, I'm definitely not 100%, but I'm much better. Let's talk about Monday Night Football. I did not I don't care about the Titans and Dolphins. If you must bet on the Titans and Dolphins, call the number. Will Levis against whoever the hell Miami's putting up there. I forget who it is, and I don't even care. I don't care. You can tell. You're going to tell me, and I don't care. I'm not going to watch that game. Not going to bet on that game. I don't care. I mean, Tyler Huntley. There you go. I'm only going to kind of care because in my picks column, I picked Tennessee. So I guess I'm rooting for Tennessee. Other than that, I don't care. Gabe wants Miami to win just because Tennessee's in. Gabe, if you got to worry about the Titans, you got bigger fish to fry. One reason why I am kind of rooting against Tennessee is I said in the beginning of the year and got one of these numbers from Gabe that Tennessee would have the worst record in football, and I still think there's a good chance they will. And he wasn't the only one that was telling me I was wrong. You got an AFC South exacta. Okay. The game of the night is definitely Seahawks and Lions. Tom Casale likes the Seabags. I like the Lions. Now this is going up. I don't like it as much at -4. But I would still take the Lions. If you have to bet and you want to just put $10, if you got like one of those no sweat bets and you want to put $10 on it, take the Lions. And the Seahawks have done well in Detroit. Last 2 years in a row, they played them in Detroit. I don't think the Seahawks team is as good, even though they've got this false 3-0 record. Saints are definitely better than Seattle. They got this false 3-0 record. Detroit, meanwhile, at home, don't think they ain't thinking about losing to Seattle before. They're thinking about it. They'll be fired up for this one. I think they whip the tails off the Seabirds. That's my opinion. All right. More coming up on Wednesday. The schedule the rest of the week is Wednesday. It's going to be Mano E Wednesday. We're going to do this all over again. No guest on Wednesday. We'll have Gabe. Wednesdays with Gabe, but other than that, just us. Y'all can say what you got 2 days to figure out how you're going to come at me, bro. Big Sean, better come at me with something more than Derek Carr sucks, dude. I don't even know who the goofball who was saying DA is the worst coach in the league. He disappeared a long time ago. See, Big Sean at least knows how to come at me with stuff that's like, I'm not going to get all super pissed. We'll just talk about it. If you're going to come at me, don't come at me with some stupid crap. Okay. What is that? I'm going to show this just because Gabe says don't show it. Can't help it. Eddie Calking. Cuckoo, cuckoo, cuckoo. Soon as Vegas is out of the NFL, then and only then will you see real football. Right now, we are the new WWE script football. Refs are in on it. So are the coaches. Let me just I have to say this. You know, like I say, Drew Brees is going and he's never coming back. I got to say this. I'll probably say this during the season at least twice a month. When it's not the season, only once a month. I'm going to say this about all you conspiracy theorists who think the NFL is rigged. Do you know how many people would have to be in on it for the NFL to be rigged? And then beyond all the people that would need to be in on it for the NFL to be rigged, multiply all those people by 10, the people who need to keep their mouths shut, which means the chances of the NFL being rigged are 0. 0.0. That means, in case you're tough with math, that means there's not a chance. John, the Chiefs play rigged games. That is like my biggest pet peeve when it comes to football, that people say shit's rigged. It really bugs me. Do people make bad calls? Is there an inherent potential inherent bias in certain officials' minds that you're not going to call the same thing for Patrick Mahomes that you might call for, I don't know, Will Levis? Possibly. Absolutely possible. Is there a hit that would be that Patrick Mahomes would take that you would call rough in the passer that Will Levis would take that you wouldn't? Yes, it's possible. That doesn't mean it's rigged. It just means that you're human and that your mind thinks a different way. I don't know. I can tell you this, when this show's over and we're about 2 minutes away, I'm going to have to like take my soapbox in the backyard and wash it because it needs a scrubbing. I was on a soapbox all day long today. No, Big Sean, if there is, that's one that I don't think it was rigged, but you could absolutely make a case, 100% make a case. If you're going to make one, that would be it. Nick says, is the NFL rigged? Antonio Brown would have exposed them by now. No doubt about that. So, Big Sean, you got the only case there is to make. It's hard to, still pissed about that one. Still salty. I don't think it was rigged, but, you know. Anyway, I want to talk real quickly about my friends. I meant to say this 10 minutes ago. I'm sorry I'm putting this at the very end of the show. What happens after Evangelin's complimentary valuation of your company? You say, okay, that sounds like a good price, and we're ready to sell. Well, the native New Orleanians, Nick Braden, Ron Hemelt, and the folks at Evangelin will begin an extensive auction process among established private equity funds from around the world. They will maximize the return process for the founder and his or her family. Evangelin Securities is the top producer on their platform. Very few companies like them in this area. Offices on Poydras Street and in Lafayette. Very few like them. None with their dedication and success. Sorry, Nick, we did not talk about cricket today. Maybe we'll get to it on Wednesday. They are fully licensed, ready to serve you. So get in touch with Nick and Ron about what's really important the rest of your life. You can find them at www.evangelinsecurities.com. I think one of the reasons why I was so loud today is because I was just happy that I could talk again. I had to do my play-by-play Friday. Did St. Martin's and McMain, which is nobody cares about that part of it. But the part of it they might care about is, if you don't know, St. Martin's features a running back named Harlem Berry, who is the number one running back and recruit in the nation. And he's committed to LSU. A-Town, gonna need a big gulp and a cigarette. I quit smoking a year and a half ago, dude. But I do still want one. I'm definitely gonna need a big gulp. You ain't lying. You ain't lying. I'm just happy I can talk again. But anyway, so Harlem Berry, by the way, Friday night, the LSU commit. 10 carries, 189 yards. 4 touchdowns. You can check it out on my X page at Jim Derry Jr. All right. One more sip before I say goodbye. If you got something else to say, you better get it in the next 60 seconds, because that is going to wrap it up for us on this Monday. I want to thank Gabe Henderson. I want to thank all of my friends, all of my Dattitude family out there. It was fun. Again, I'm going to go back to what I always say. We can disagree on this show, and I'm going to show it and we can talk about it. Unless you say something really stupid, then I'm probably going to get pissed and go off on a tangent. But that's why some of you come back. You're not all happy I could talk again. Too bad, buddy. Simon says the show today has been hilarious. Thanks, everyone. I didn't mean for it to be hilarious. Brian says the best pod ever. Thank you. Tell your friends. Tell them to go subscribe to the YouTube page. They don't necessarily have to click the little bell to get notifications. Just go subscribe. If you're out there and you haven't liked the show yet, give it a like. This show, like. I don't even know why it helps or what it does, but just do it. That's the thing you're on YouTube now. Like, you're supposed to say that. All right. You can get notifications when we go on the air. You can also find us wherever you get your podcasts, including Apple, Spotify, and many more. And you can always find the replay of the show on NOLA.com/sports. Check out all of Gabe's work at bet.nola.com. I also write a picks column there on Wednesday mornings. I haven't done my trends column because I've been sick, but I will be back. The trends column will be back this weekend. Saints versus Chiefs. We've already told you some of the things that Carr's done. Gabe's written a post about it anyway. All of Tom Casale's work. And even though he's like the little brother I want to beat the crap out of, Zach Ewing. They do great work at NOLA.com/Saints. All of my colleagues over there, check them out as well. We will see you on Wednesday. We'll have plenty more to talk about. Anything else worth showing before I say goodbye? No? Okay, good. I'll show this one just so y'all can pound on them on Thursday. Nick hopes they lose the rest of their games. The losing shows are much better. Nobody's going to watch, though. If you go 2-15, after about loss number 6, nobody gives a damn. So that's not necessarily true. All right, we will see y'all on Wednesday from Mano E Wednesday. Enjoy the next couple days. Stay safe. Lots of love for the people in Florida, Georgia, North Carolina for sure. We didn't even mention them. They have it a lot worse than any of us have it today for sure. We love them as much as we love our own Who Dat family. We will see you on Wednesday. Take it easy, my friends.
If you're looking for the latest scoop and in-depth interviews on the Saints, the NFL, the Pelicans, LSU, along with the best bets of the week, then lucky you. Along with high-powered, in-the-know guests who cover our teams, Jim Derry brings plenty of Dattitude. And he'll always tell you the way it is, or at least the way he thinks it is.